What are the important features of a good memory care program in assisted living? Hi, my name is Steve Chapek. Thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time joining us, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. If you're joining us again, thank you so much. We appreciate your support. Today I want to talk to you about the important features to look for in a memory care program in assisted living. I want to ask you a question. Do you think that the activities is the most important feature in a memory care program? It's kind of a trick question. Yes, of course the activities are important in a memory care program. However, something I want to make sure to bring to light as well is the importance of the daily routine with the caregivers working with the residents. The caregiver should be walking the resident through their daily routine and just giving them cues and supervision. For the sake of this discussion, let's just say that this assisted living has residents in their memory care that are still social, that are able to get around well, but it is their mind that is causing them trouble. The caregiver should come in the morning, and instead of just picking out clothes for the resident, they should involve the resident. They should bring the resident to either the closet where there might be just a few items, a few outfits to choose from, or if it's a large closet, they should have already pulled out 2 or 3, maybe even 4 at the most, outfits for them to determine which one they'd like to wear that day. If it was a shower day, that they wouldn't just do the whole shower process. They would encourage the person and they would give them cues throughout the process of showering. And again, just think of normal daily routines that you would do throughout the day and include that into your thoughts of a good memory care program, but having the caregivers assist and supervise and guide the residents throughout those processes. But as that goes on, they would also, just like we would at the house, maybe help make the bed. Now, let me be clear on this. If the resident didn't want to help make the bed, that is perfectly fine. They should not have to. But most of the time, if you're wanting someone to feel like this is their home or this is where they're welcome to be and to stay, those normal daily routines become kind of second nature. A caregiver might say, "Hey, would you mind helping me with the bed?" And the resident would get on one side and the caregiver would get on the other, and they would fix the bed. If the resident was struggling to make it look perfectly, that's fine. The caregiver should never say anything about it. It's not really the resident's responsibility to fix all that anyways. It's the staff. The reason why the resident's being involved is so they feel purpose. If the bed wasn't done real well on the resident's side, later after maybe the resident was eating breakfast, the caregiver could come back in and fix that area for them and make it look nice and never say a word to the resident about it. Of course, after breakfast, some of the residents might like to take their plate up to wherever the dirty dishes go, and that's just fine. Some even like to still wipe off the tables, push in the chairs. That's great. That's a purposeful event for them. Usually in a good memory care program, then after breakfast starts more of the activities. And so this is where most people get hung up and think just about activities as they're thinking about memory care programs. But a good memory care program, the activities program, typically has exercise starting out, getting their blood pumping early in the morning after breakfast, maybe 9:30, 10 or 10:30 a.m. And then right after that, drinking some water and having some type of nourishment, little, oranges or orange slices or some type of snack. The staff could also be doing some type of reminiscence with them, talking with them about a date and time, maybe back on this day, back in 1945, this was happening, and getting them involved in that conversation. Another neat thing, and I want to ask you a question, get your mind going. Do you think a TV should ever be used in the activities program for memory care? Most people feel like maybe not, because it will become kind of a babysitter where all of a sudden the TV's always on. I would say yes, though, and let me tell you why. Smart TVs now can be such a great component of a memory care program. And what I mean by that is, imagine having a group of residents sit down in front of a smart TV and you start pulling up old cars, different pictures of different models of cars from the 50s or 60s or even 70s or 80s. But you start showing those on the screen, and you have either the men or the ladies start to say, you know what, I had that car. That was one of my first cars, or that was the first car we got after we got married, or we had that car when our kids were little. So again, it's getting them involved in reminiscing and thinking about good memories and things of the past. Men are often difficult, a little bit more difficult to figure out what activities to do with them. So using the TV, and for a lot of them that were in the military, maybe showing different types of aircraft and seeing what they say. Of course, we'd never want to have anything that would stir worrisome or frightful memories, but maybe even a baseball field, or even a park or a college campus or a city, and having certain photos that you're showing them of that city. So don't put the TV completely away for memory care, but it should be used strategically and only for certain times, in my estimation. As the residents are going through the day, now it's lunchtime, and again, they might like to help even make sure that the tables are ready for people to come and eat at. And after they have their meal, for memory care, it really depends on how far along a person is with their impairment. Some of them might want to take a nap after lunch, and that is great. That's not a problem. And especially if they always did that at the house before they came there, that's great. After that nap, and it shouldn't be a 2.5 or 3 hour nap, it should be a 45-minute nap possibly, or a little more, maybe a little less. But get them back up and going, and usually the big activity of the day is usually around that one right after lunch, maybe around 1:30 or 2, and it might be something using art or a craft project. It might be going out and going for a scenic drive. It also could be going to a bowling alley or going fishing. It's really limitless. It's just dependent on the abilities of the residents. Then going into the evening time, of course, there's a meal time again. But regarding the memory care programming, in regards to after dinner, it's important not to continue to do very high energy activities, because you're wanting folks to now start sensing that it's getting ready to be bedtime relatively soon. Sitting and hearing stories or having a book reading time. It also could just be another time where the folks start reminiscing. I want to say this now. There are quite a few family members that when they come through a memory care program, they're wanting it to look like a senior center. They're wanting to see constant activities. And I understand why they feel that way. It's much better than seeing the residents sitting there and doing nothing. Totally agree with that. But I want to have you think through this with me for a second. We want them to feel at home in that environment as much as they can. We want them to feel comfortable. We want them to be able to feel so comfortable that later that evening they're going to be sleeping there in their apartment. So, in my humble opinion, there must be a balance between a good amount of activities, recreational activities and things like that, and a feeling of this is home, where it's not constant painting and drawing and cooking classes and all sorts of things like that. You want it to feel more like in our home, but an active home. So in most of our homes, we don't do stuff constantly. So if you think about going on vacation, you have a great time, you have an action-packed time of being on vacation, doing a lot of things, but even in that beautiful setting, at some point you're ready to go home. And I often feel that's what we want to be careful of. If we've got too much going on nonstop, residents with dementia can start to feel like, well, this can't be home because this isn't what I do at home. So there's got to be a good balance of having an environment that's very soothing and calming, yet having specific scheduled times where they're doing more things and they're keeping active. So as it rolls into nighttime, the caregivers should be, again, cueing the residents to things that they should do. So they should be brushing their teeth. Maybe for the ladies, they should be taking off makeup. For them, they should all be changing into pajamas and getting ready for going to sleep. But in the meantime as well, some folks want to go to bed a little bit earlier, and if that's their normal schedule, that's fine. But residents that like to stay up a little later should not be pushed to go to bed earlier. That really is not following their normal system and their normal schedule. And memory care programs should be created around the resident, not around the staff and their schedules. So the activity schedule is a little different, of course. You want to have them at certain times so that they get used to these events happening at certain times. But in regards to their own wishes and wants about what time to go to bed, there should be flexibility. The residents that want to stay up a little bit later, that should be an opportunity for, again, a strategic moment with maybe the smart TV or a TV with a DVD player. I know that in the past there were DVDs, and I know they still sell them, but maybe on the smart TV you can find this as well. But they're DVDs where it's a fireplace that's been videotaped and video recorded, and you see the fire burning and it starts, diminishing, and that's so soothing, and that's such a event that would happen at nighttime when people are getting ready for bed or preparing themselves to go to sleep. So having that going on the TV, hearing the fire crackling and watching that, even if it's on a TV, and talking amongst themselves and with a caregiver or staff person, soothes a lot of people, and at some point, quite often, they're ready for bed. So the caregiver should be very involved in the daily schedule with the resident. They should not be doing all the processes for the resident. As you're going through an assisted living, ask, without giving them the details of what you're expecting to see, ask questions of the activity staff and also the nursing and caregiving staff there at the building, what they do with the residents, how they work with them throughout the day, and listen for those factors to be stated, that they're helping them feel purposeful by doing things with them, that the residents involved in making the bed if they wish to, picking out their clothes, putting their dirty clothes in the dirty clothes hamper or something of that nature. So when you have that type of programming going on, you'll see residents that will be much happier. You want to watch for the dynamics as you go through the building between the caregivers and the nurses and the residents. You want to see that dynamic of a environment that seems very fun but relaxed at the same time. The residents with dementia are very much being cued by how we respond to them. So if you have caregivers and nurses that are having fun with them, enjoying time with them, but are still not too high energy, but are very have a relaxed type of feel to them, and that you even feel comfortable with them, that's usually a very good sign. So keep those in mind. I've also done a recent video on the correct ratio of caregivers to residents that I'll have up here on the screen that you can go to if you want to know what those ratios should look like. Thank you so much. Have a great day.